Hey everybody, welcome to the show. I'm here with Plato today, and we're bringing you a story from TV Line because we wanted to discuss some of the inconsistencies of Marvel's shows and their budgets. And we're going to talk about the CGI and whether the CGI contributes to most of this show's budget or if their money is going elsewhere, because nothing about this show makes sense when it comes to the finances and when it comes to the quality of the show. Like, I'm comparing and contrasting a number of different things. I'm not coming to a conclusive answer on this. So we're going to read this article and try to corroborate our thoughts with the thoughts of this writer for TV Line, who's asking very similar questions. How did Secret Invasion possibly cost $212 million, way more than Barbie, more than Oppenheimer, and other box office hits? I think that's one of the most valuable pieces of information in this story, okay? This movie costs a buttload, okay? It's over $200 million. Okay, that's bigger than quite a few of Marvel's mainstream movies. And when I watched Secret Invasion, I saw an espionage thriller, or at least it was trying to be some sort of espionage thriller. But because of that, it felt much smaller in scale. I know that they had explosion scenes, spoilers by the way, but they had explosion scenes, they had fight scenes, and even like a CGI brawl at the end. But nothing that would ever justify a $200+ million budget. Just to age your perspective a little bit on this situation, Marvel movies usually spend about $50 to $100 million on average on just CGI for their movies. I don't know how true it is for this show, though, because the amount of CGI in this show is very minimal. There are a few things that would make you be like, oh yeah, that's CGI, and of course there's that huge CGI brawl at the end. But then you have like most of the show being conversations and like basic fight scenes, basic gunfire scenes, you know, a couple of battle scenes, but nothing that would ever justify this amount. And that's why this entire thing is so confusing to me, because it's just like, where's the money going? So let's discuss this, because this is probably going to change your perspective on this show, its budget, and the way that Disney markets their shows and movies, and how much ungodly amounts of money they spend on production with all of this small little meaningless return that they're getting from audiences. So check this out. Disney Plus's latest live-action Marvel series, Secret Invasion, reportedly carried a budget of $212 million, meaning it cost more than 6 out of this year's top 10 box office blockbusters, okay? Remember Barbie that went on to make $1 billion? It has like a $100 million budget. And we're going to read more about this because they list several movies that this Secret Invasion show out-budgets. And while several sites, after Forbes reported on that shocking sticker price, have already asked versions of how on earth is that possible, I am here back from vacation to ask you the same thing. How on earth is that possible? This writer is absolutely confused. They're perplexed by this situation. I was told there would be no math when we launched TV Line, but nonetheless, here are some numbers to consider before we break down the pricier moments from each of the 6 episodes. This is going to blow you guys' minds. Check out the comparisons for these budgets, okay? Secret Invasion's total running time was 4 hours, 32 minutes, okay? So if you split that in half, that's about, 2 hours, 15 minutes. I guess you could say if the budget was $212 million, then I guess you could say if it was a movie cut in half, it'd be about $100-something million, right? I mean, if you do that sort of math, that's kind of what I do. I don't get into like the super analytical data and mathematics of, accounting and all that stuff. I'm not an expert, but I do my best. The longest running blockbusters out of 2023's current top 10 are Oppenheimer, which spanned 3 hours, and Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Most everything else was much closer to a lean 2 hours. I guess you could make an argument in support of where the heck did the money go if you put Oppenheimer in there as a factor because of its length. I mean, it's only an hour and a half shorter than all of Secret Invasion at 3 hours, right? Let's continue. Even if you get bogged down in prorating costs over running time, Secret Invasion costs, $780,000 a minute compared to Oppenheimer's $555,000 a minute. And though Oppenheimer was talky and used practical effects when needed, it had a sprawling, stacked cast. That could also contribute to the budget of the show. I'm thinking that the actors, it says later on, and we'll read it, but these actors actually get paid a lot of money per episode, and also they sign contracts for entire TV shows and make a huge buck from it. That's already a huge portion out of the budget. We'll discuss it though right here. The budgets for fellow Marvel TV series are hard to lock down. It's only because SI filmed in London under the government's television tax relief program that its budget became public. But per assorted online reports, only WandaVision and She-Hulk, which each cost $225 million, and by the way, that's $25 million per episode, had bigger budgets. That's absolutely insane. That show was garbage. Not sure where the budget went into that. Definitely didn't go into the CGI. The CGI for She-Hulk was awful. Whatever. Samuel L. Jackson, by one very unofficial tally, fetches $10 to $20 million for a lead role in a motion picture. I don't think that that's per episode. I think that that's what he got for this as well. I don't have confirmation on that though, but I mean, that would make sense. 10 to 20 million, that's a good chunk off the budget. Okay, that's 212 million minus 20 million. Again, I'm not sure how the entire thing works, but if you're counting Samuel L. Jackson or Emilia Clarke or Kobe Smolder's roles and their paychecks into this, if you're factoring those in, it'd be a huge chunk off of the budget. But then again, if that's not in the budget and on top of whatever you have in the budget, you have to pay the actors that amount of money as well, that's just adding on to the budget. And it would make even less sense, honestly. Here's some of the movies that have less of a budget than Secret Invasion's Disney Plus budget. Okay, check this out. You ready for this? Super Mario Bros. $100 million budget. Half of this show's budget. How does that make sense? I mean, the marketing was through the roof for that, all right? They made a lot of money at the box office, by the way. You can probably get some sort of idea where all the money went, right? $100 million, probably all into the CGI. Make the movie as beautiful as possible. I know the story was okay, right? Then you have Barbie. Barbie had a $100 million production budget, and they went on to make $1 billion. But where do you think all that money went? It probably went into location. It went into like building the executive office sets, Barbie Land sets. That's probably where most of the money went. Very real looking practical sets. There was also a little bit of artistic CGI here and there, probably to fix a couple of issues or to add flair, but there wasn't like huge amounts of CGI. Most of the movie revolved around Barbie talking to people or getting into small scale shenanigans. And I know that a lot of money went into the marketing. The marketing is one of the biggest things about Barbie, so that makes a little bit more sense there. But again, that's half the budget of Secret Invasion, so what does that tell you? Like, what kind of questions are we even supposed to ask? Am I allowed to say that it's money laundering? I don't know. Because I don't know for sure if it's money laundering. Some people have suggested it. I think it's funny to suggest it, but I don't know if that could be true. What would they money launder for? Why would they just blatantly, willfully ruin this TV show so that they could have that money be pushed towards something else and just say that it was all for this? That doesn't make any sense to me, but where's the money then? Where is it going? Marketing? I mean, I saw a lot of Secret Invasion trailers online, but is that where most of the money goes? That's kind of ridiculous. Does it all go to CGI, to 4-minute fight scenes between a girl and a green goblin? Really? I don't know about that. There's more movies, okay? Across the Spider-Verse, full animation, right? They used some crazy animation for that. Oppenheimer, 3 hours, 100 million, half the budget. That money, you can probably understand where most of that money went. Ant-Man 3 had $200 million, which is actually matching, more or less, the budget of this show. That makes sense. You know, a lot of it was CGI. They had a lot of VFX. It took place in like a microscopic world. It makes sense, right? That's where most of the money went. There was a lot of marketing for that movie too. And then this is probably the biggest head scratch in this entire list. Transformers Rise of the Beasts, which is supposed to be a CGI robot killing fest, okay? Robots smashing each other to bits. They even had like an Avengers Endgame type battle sequence near the end of the movie. All CGI. And that was actually around the same budget as Secret Invasion. So again, where's all this money going? Is it to the outfits, the background extras? That doesn't make sense to me. And then there were only a few other movies that had bigger budgets. Guardians of the Galaxy 3, lots of CGI. Fast X, you know, that was over $100 million more. Wow, I'm not even going to go there. And then you have $250 million for Galaxy 3. You've got Little Mermaid, maybe like 20 million more, but that had way more CGI in it. Dead Reckoning Part 1 cost even more. I mean, that was a lot of stunts, a lot of practical effects with a little bit of CGI touched in, but nothing spectacular. So is it just that like Marvel is paying a crap ton of money so that these little 4-minute scenes can look the best that they've ever looked? Are they putting all of this money into marketing? Is this money going to anyone else? Is it all going to the actors and with like little to no marketing? I don't see why a show like Secret Invasion gets such a big budget. I would also say the same for Indiana Jones and his disastrous destiny. I mean, that movie had a humongous budget. can't even imagine why. It looks like they could have had much better scenes for what we got. I mean, this is the amount of money that they spend on these movies is insane. I actually just read earlier, I think yesterday or the day before, that David Ayer's cut of the Suicide Squad movie from back in 2016, apparently that cost over $1 billion total for the production, for the marketing, for everything. So I'm wondering if such huge portions of this show and these movies just go all to marketing, because I don't see how this makes any sense. What is it in Secret Invasion that any of you guys saw that would make you think, yeah, this is a high value production budget with a lot of high value stuff in it going on? But that's just me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like and share it. And if you want to see more like this, consider subscribing. I look forward to seeing you guys again next time. Say goodbye, Play-Doh. Meow, meow.